Maybe you can just share a little bit about your sales philosophy and the process you've used.
No, and I appreciate that. It's nice to know that after 3 decades, I was able to contribute something back and bring some value. No, so yeah, being a career salesperson, right, and having worked at enterprise, at early stage startup, and private equity backed, it was really helpful because it gave you a different perspective of things. How you do things in enterprise and how you do it in startup and even private equity, you have to modify some of that, but a lot of the foundational things in process are things you can build on, right? And also things I built on were, I've been trained through 7 different sales methodologies, and they all vary, whether it's value selling, hold and selling, medic, snap selling. There's various ones, but really what you take out of them is, and what you use is what works. And it changes in different industries. So I kind of over time have brought that back together as to really it's getting down and qualifying, doing discovery with a client, not pitching them first, but really understanding, where can you align the value and align it to what they're doing. And it's really about Joe also doing this in a consistent way. So for the teams, they didn't really have that, was putting a process in place so they could consistently use that to discuss that. Over time, it becomes inherent to them and they just naturally do it. But if you didn't have that in place, you need to put some consistent structure so you get consistency out of it in doing this discovery. And the whole thing, it then bleeds into from understanding, aligning your value, which leads into proposal and qualification. You could extend that easily out to forecasting. And that's a very important part too. Again, looking across the different places I've worked, that's always an important thing. Are you doing what you said you're going to do? Are you delivering and in the time frame that you do for the company? Or like too many times that you see out there, December comes to close and half the funnel is gone because people thought they were going to close on December 31st because they didn't step back, follow a consistent process, and measure the things that matter to close there and that are real in a closing process for a customer. Yeah. So again, it's really just building that consistent foundation.
Yeah, no, I think one of the key things that helped our team was people were coming back from a meeting with a customer and saying like, oh, they loved the product. It was a great presentation, lots of nods, really excited. And, we'll close it in 30 days. And the kind of set of questions, the qualifications, well, can they articulate back to you what the value is? What problem is it going to solve for them? And who's the actual buyer? Do they have budget for this in this year? Who's the signature authority? Some of those kind of just really critical qualification steps that people kind of forget to ask when it's a great meeting, seemed really enthusiastic, but that doesn't mean shit, when it comes time to getting them to sign a check and buy it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times in sales, people are optimistic. And it's good to be optimistic, but you got to be realistic, like you said. You pitched something, you did a great job. I thought I did a great job, and they smiled, and so it was a great meeting. But all you did was pitch them, right? You didn't really try to find out first, what are their challenges? What do they do today? Where could you help them? What's the value? And to your point, you go back with that optimism there and you put something out there, but you haven't done your job in qualifying to see if it aligns. People were just being nice. They took your meeting and you educate them or showed them something, right? Likewise, like you said, who does actually own it, or who are the multiple people that have influence and own it? Is there a budget is a great question, which it blows me away. That one question nobody ever asks. Do you even have a budget for it? And is that budget this year or next year? And it's not wrong if they give you an answer. That's part of discovery. And if it's next year, that's great. You could have the opportunity if you show enough value and fill their pain needs to pull. Or you work with them through that timeline and you continue to build that relationship and do that. So that's aligning realities with doing some of this qualification and going forward. And also that timeline piece of it is a big important piece that a lot of people just seem to miss.
Yeah. And not just do you have budget, but who owns that budget and like who decides that they're going to spend it on here, and what am I competing with for that budget too? Like what are the other things that, are going to be taken up with that budget that I got to get ahead of in line? And the other thing about those kind of qualification questions I thought too was you learn who's not going to buy a lot quicker too. So you're not spending a lot of time chasing rabbits down holes that are never going to materialize, and you can focus kind of go and spend your energy on the customers that do actually want to buy the solution and have more value there.